Oh my goodness. Sometimes I wish we just start rolling. Just start rolling. Just forget the intro and everything. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be watching this or listening to The Yard Sign, the most important and relevant podcast in politics. Your host, as always, Jonny Torres. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a great week or start to a great week. There is so much to talk about. Let me tell you, these three topics do not do it justice. There is a lot more going on that we have crammed into three little topics just so we could fit it on screen. But we are going to cover quite a bit tonight. We also got a first-time special guest with us. So we'll be going into that in just a second. We appreciate you for watching. Don't forget, if you can't watch the entire video version of the podcast, you can always join us for the audio version of the podcast over at the Tech Overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and Samsung podcast platforms. Okay. And you can subscribe, like, share. Please do so. Again, we are now ranked, thanks to you guys, among the top 150 podcasts in the country, based out of right here, little old Brandon, Florida. Yes, I do mention Brandon, not Tampa, intentionally. Let's go ahead and run through tonight's topics. We're going to go back to January, and no, unfortunately, not to celebrate my birthday, but to celebrate the media's obsession with the insurrection. And I do say the media's obsession because they have pulled this to death, and the rest of America honestly doesn't care. But we'll talk about why why the news has resurrected itself. Also, big news coming out of the FEC as they have officially fined the Democratic National Committee, that's the official Democratic Party, and the Hillary Clinton campaign for issues regarding some of their activities that were going on during the election, them being, of course, the Steele dossier being the primary thing. Aside from the fact that it's already been proven to be false, it's now also been proven to have been illegal. So we'll pick that apart. Of course, it's not going to have any effect on the elections up ahead, but Democrats are still projected to get destroyed anyways. And then our final topic for tonight, a very heartbreaking topic that we'll be going into Disney and what I call disappointing Disney, or you might call DeSantis versus Disney, as they continue to make an issue out of the Don't Say Gay bill. And of course, as we on the right know, that is not the name of the bill nor the intent of the bill, but this continues to escalate. It is now basically a full-blown war between Disney executives and Governor Ron DeSantis. All right, so let's go over to the big table and let's waste no further time. But let's introduce our guest first. Joining us for the first time on the show from Community Patriots, Jeff. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well, thank you so much.
No, sorry, that's I like.
Surprising that we got this wrong again.
Well, see,
I'm so used to going without a mic. It didn't matter.
I don't even know why I'm not even on camera.
I do it as an icebreaker. I do it as an icebreaker just to kind of
No, he doesn't.
catch you off guard.
It's a lie. It's all a lie.
I've, of course, seen the yard sign. It's great to be here. You guys do awesome work. We're proud to be here, always representing our organization. So thank you guys so much for the invite.
Well, thank you for being our inaugural sponsor. We're excited about the work you've been doing in the community. You've been making all kinds of noise, and I mean that in the best way possible, because you've put a lot of people on both sides of the aisle on edge. You've really motivated, you've engaged a lot of people who I think really had either lost hope in the process or have never been involved in the process.
Well, I think when we started this, and I appreciate that, we kind of started out backing the blue. And it seems strange for me to say this on that show, but back in 2020, we thought we could put our community almost above politics. Mm-hmm. And that kind of started with law and order and supporting the guys that protect us and take care of us. But as in everything, it evolved so quickly. It was a matter of months before our organization, our board realized that, being involved in politics was the key to get things done. The key to, our organization is constitutional.
Okay.
And
Because really, you position yourselves nonpartisan, right? I mean, and I don't mean that facetiously. I mean, you guys have intentionally made it so, and I'm guessing it's kind of more to make it like an open door, big tent policy to welcome other people who may be scared away by the political labels.
Well, that stems from our work, and one of the first things that we did was we wanted to be in the presence. We wanted to be a presence in all the communities, and we couldn't carry certain flags, our sayings, our logos into certain neighborhoods when we just wanted to help clean up.
Sure,
we wanted to do tutoring. We wanted to do anything that we could do to have, and that's kind of how that was part of the Back the Blue process. We worked with TPD to start that.
Okay.
Was take a neighborhood that had a lot of opportunity and share that with a neighborhood that didn't have a lot of opportunity.
Got it.
And early on we were talking about community equals unity, and it kind of evolved into nonpartisan, but what it came back to and what it is today is constitutional, protecting our liberties and freedoms for all people across
well, and
the
sadly,
city.
today people perceive that as being partisan. You know, when really being constitutional should not be a partisan thing.
100%. So that's our message. We go strong with it, but we work with everybody across the board, and anyone who supports our values, which goes right back to liberty and freedom. We work with them. We do all kinds of work in community patriots, from committees, veterans outreach, all the way to Frontline Patriots, which is another part of our organization where we're heavily involved, beginning now in raising money for candidates that support the values that we love.
Well, and for me, I think the most attractive part is one of the things that I've said for many years, being involved in politics, is that really I think the biggest message should be for anyone who is involved is I don't care if you agree with me on the issues or not. I honestly, I don't even care if we're on the same party, registration or not. Get involved. Just get involved and be active and understand what's happening in your community, because especially at the local level is where, the citizens are getting screwed over and they don't even know it. They don't even realize it's happening.
What I really want to say, you have a lot of Republican clubs, a lot of different people that have organizations that ask people to get involved in the grassroots level. But here's the truth. We all have more in common than not. Most of us are raising families. Most of us, live our daily lives. We work, we carry lunch boxes, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, getting involved in your community where you live is a huge part of making a difference.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's why we're seeing our kind of political atmosphere right now almost completely turned on its head, because we're seeing people that, again, have been kind of locked up in their houses for the better part of 2 years, with the exception of Florida, and realizing how backwards their local governments are. And realizing, how much these school boards, these county commissions, these city councils have been getting away with again, nobody watching who's at the helm.
I think you're hitting on the second thing that the community patriots do, and that's really in 2020 when we started evolving rapidly. I met with, Anibal, right at the inception of this, is accountability. And I think what you see a lot of the local organizations doing is trying their best to find a way to hold them accountable. Now, there's a lot of hurdles there, but it's the hard work. It's stepping up, and you just said it. It's being a volunteer.
Yeah.
And it's not always comfortable if you're going to go down and speak to the city council, or you're going to do a protest or whatever it is. But this nation is where it's at because people got involved and people stood up for what they believe in.
Well, I think you also hit on something there that I stress to people all the time, and unfortunately, Anibal and I are disappointed quite often in some of these local political organizations, is that people love to come to the meetings, right? They love to socialize, they love to talk politics, they love to talk, about what's wrong and what's, who's doing what wrong. But when it comes to, putting feet to the ground and putting some action behind it, that's when you see, who's really up for making positive change in the community.
Yeah. We, and I think there's a little bit of shift in organizations right now. We got to get these people to join. We got to get these people to join. We need more people to come. And I think what's happening within our organization is there's more of a foot forward to find leaders. You don't necessarily have to, help 40 hours a week, but find people who are willing to put their boots on the ground. Yeah. And when we're talking to people now, we just had one, down in South Tampa, and we picked up 3 or 4 people, and that's a victory. I mean, that's great. The big picture looks like we need thousands of people, and we really do if we really ever want to carry it. But what these organizations are doing now is getting people to step up. We've had a lot of people come through Community Patriots over the last year and a half, and that's probably what I'm most proud of, whether they're here or whether they found their another group or whether they're in East County or whether they're in Pinellas. We've had a lot of people come up because we were so hot. We were so involved, and we had so many things going on that, it brought a lot of people out. Yeah. We in my opinion, we set the standard in 2020 for a lot of things when it comes to grassroots, and we're hoping that continues, that we're able to continue to do the things in the community that make a difference.
And I think something that a lot of people forget was that during the height of really us seeing the government really start to infringe on our freedoms was Community Patriots. It was one of the first organizations, I think almost around the country, that kind of put boots on the ground in front of this issue, mobilizing people to call and contact and email, and then also were in front also pushing back on BLM. And I think that's what a lot of people really loved about the organization at that time, was that there was no one else. No other organization was prepared for that kind of pushback, if I want to use that word lightly.
Well, it's true. And, to be honest, I've never said this, but I'm going to say it on your show. Any early going, that organization was really training the younger kids to kind of create chaos.
Sure.
And the craziest thing about it is early on, we had a lot of communication, not necessarily with their leadership, but right on the ground. And it wasn't like everybody thought it was. We actually had a representative from South St. Pete that was trying to join us in stopping some of the things that were going on, the unlawful acts. I don't have to talk about whether it was BLM or whether it was Antifa or whether it was any kind of organization. I can just tell you that what the Community Patriots did in their first 60 days was go out in Tampa and in St. Pete and say, we love our communities, and you are not going to break the law. And if the police didn't want us there, we moved. We honored the police. But early on, we actually had some communication with them because they cared about their community too. It was a lot. Right. There was a lot of bad. There wasn't as many bad elements as people say there were, but we were. We were in the street. We were in the front line. But everything we always did, we were nonviolent. We just stood there and said, "Listen, you're not going to do this in my." We love our city.
Yeah, you draw the line.
You're not going to do it. You're just not going to do it.
Right.
In the heart of South Tampa, literally, I remember it happened where the line was literally drawn on, what was it? It was Howard and Swan, I think it was. And that's literally dead center of the city. And then it happened again on Bayshore. Yep. And so I think that whatever people say in the past, I think it was a huge eye-opener for a lot of Tampanians and Bay Area residents that their local RECs did not have the capacity, and we needed another organization to be able to provide that kind of level of reaction.
Well, a good friend of mine has a saying, it's like, don't talk about it, be about it. Mm-hmm. Right. And so again, going back to what I said earlier, there's a huge difference between getting together and saying, hey, this is a problem, somebody should do something about it. And then actually, then the actual, process of actually doing something about it. Mm-hmm. And going out there and trying to solve the problems that, again, the government isn't really equipped to solve. Because again, nobody benefits from the police getting involved. People go to jail, and then you're messing people's records, for the rest of their lives. That causes a whole trickle down effect or domino effect of issues, for those individuals. Where if you can actually get a conversation going, and like you said, meet at the middle ground where you can agree that we care about these communities, you can actually prevent some of this stuff from happening.
I just want to add to that, and not a lot of people know this either, but one of the first meetings that we decided to do as community patriots was we wanted to meet with the black leadership in Belmont Heights, coaches that we knew, people that cared about their community. And right at our old meeting place, we had a meeting with about 20 patriots and about 20 black leaders. And we just never could get it together, but it was one of the best meetings to talk about, to hear some of the things. You don't know what goes on in the black community unless you can see it through their eyes.
Right.
And unfortunately, none of us can see it. But it was eye-opening to me, some things that I'm not going to talk about here today, but it's the one thing. And now I'm just going to plug him. We've gone back to Pastor Alfred Johnson and his organization, and anything that we can do to help him, we're already doing it with Clean Up Grant Park. We joined him in many of his initiatives, and he is boots on the ground to change the community with the values that all of us care about.
Correct.
Right.
And I couldn't get it together. I was new.
Yeah.
I was 1 month in. I really didn't know, but Alfred Johnson and the Family Alliance, they're just really making headways, and he leads out front through God and through love.
And what's crazy is, honestly, is that anyone who has been a long-term member, and I only know this because they've shared this with me. I'm not going to try to claim, longevity here. That really, that's what the political parties used to do. They used to invest in the community. They used to participate in community events. They used to make sure that, that everybody was registered to vote, and they were, and they would go and be an actual part of the community rather than just focusing on trying to win and lose elections.
Yeah. There was a young lady, I'm not going to plug her on here. She might slap me, but that really set the stage. And she worked with the Republican Party, and she really set the stage with making sure that the community patriots would invest in the community first.
Right.
And we did it.
Great.
And she has a much better job now, and she's helping our state. But, she was critical, and she was also critical in letting those people know that they need to get out the word too, through social media. So the people that we worked with in those communities, we asked them to share their content and
right.
different things like that.
Well, and you have to go to where the culture's at. You have to go to where the community's at. And, again, and so nowadays that includes digital.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to do it, and it's a difference maker. And I think that's going on more than people know. But again, it's back to the more people. I don't know how many. I don't know how many we'll all reach in the next 6 months of our lives. But it's how many people will spend a couple hours on a Saturday morning making a difference for the city of Tampa that we love.
Right.
There is no better city.
And we've talked about this before. Everyone will talk a good game. We've been to the meetings at 30, 40, 50 people. Yeah, we're going to do X, Y, and Z at RACs, at community meetings, everything. And then what happens?
No.
What happens?
Yeah, you get a fraction of the membership to actually show up. Yeah.
What was it? I have an anecdote. We went, an organization in Hillsborough County went to go walk for a person that's running for Congress in Pinellas County. 6 people showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of those people were the wife and I.
Well, we talk about that all the time. How like, honestly, like, and any candidate will tell you this. If it's choosing between having you show up for a walk or to make phone calls or writing a check, show up and walk.
Show up and walk.
It's so much more valuable, to truly helping win an election and be a part of the campaign than really any check you could write.
One I just got to add to that. I don't, what we have done, and I am going to talk about Z Smith just for a second. is we've created the Patriot Precinct program. And I have to say this. We stopped saying, please get out and walk, please get out and do this. But in each precinct, all we're asking is that Patriot Precinct that's handling that program is to hit 20 doors.
Right.
Just start with 20 and then just build it. You can find somebody else to hit 20 more doors.
Right.
And we've been successful having them bite off a little piece, because if you're out there, you might do more.
Yeah.
But asking, it's a tough thing to volunteer. I don't want to say that it's lack of effort or people just aren't doing it.
No, but there are roles for everybody.
Yeah.
And as the horrible kind of adage goes, it's the only way to eat an elephant. Is a small bite at a time.
That's right.
And so, again, I appreciate you being here, but I appreciate far more what you're doing out in the community. Thank you so much for your belief and support of this program. And for those of you watching, we'd love for you to get involved. Make sure you go to community-patriots.com. That's community-patriots.com. Again, Jeff here is at all the meetings. One of the other faces you've seen on the show, Kimberly Davis, heavily involved as well. And they're having meetings both in Pinellas and Hillsborough County, and they move it around. They try to make it convenient and easy to find for people. So just keep tabs on social media, and again on that website, community-patriots.com. And I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit more about the organization before the end of the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate it so much, man. Love it.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started with tonight's topics. Again, thank you so much to everybody for watching the show. Again, Anibal, David Cabrera, and Jeff Hawks on the big table tonight. We are going to start with the January 6th media hysteria. Again, as just a lot of news continues to come out, and really Congress, along with the media, seemingly obsessed with this January 6th incident, where as now, as you might expect, most of the American public, polled or otherwise, has pretty much either forgotten about it or simply just doesn't care about it. This was an event that, again, certainly, rattled a lot of cages, but I think it woke a lot of people up in maybe the best way, because I think the where it took place is exactly the building, and the people inside the building were the ones whose attention we needed to get. And so, I know, for instance, one of the things that Congress is now looking at is truly, let's call it for what it is. They're wanting to get rid of Justice Clarence Thomas, one of the longest standing justices on the Supreme Court. Democrats have been after him since day one, especially Joe Biden, who vehemently opposed his candidacy back when he was put on the Supreme Court. And for a long time, people have been watching very closely the relationship that both Justice Thomas has, along with his wife, Ginny Thomas, in our political process. There has been a lot of rumors and hearsay about Ginny Thomas's lobbying of the Supreme Court to get certain decisions to favor her clients. She is a lobbyist in D.C. But now where they're going after her is after some text messages apparently have surfaced in conversations that she had with Chief of Staff for President Donald Trump, Mark Meadows, where she was seemingly trying to get the president to do something about the outcome of the elections. Anibal, I know you also had some other kind of instances that have recently taken place, and how they just keep beating this drum, even though it's not going to get them any points in the midterms.
Thank you, Jonny, for introducing me to the yard signs. So I was waiting this whole time. I was holding my breath.
As if nobody knows who you are.
We have people that don't know who I am.
You're the co-host on every episode.
I am flattered that you called me co-host. And so now if we only have paperwork, reflect that decision.
We'll see. Yeah, we've been down that road. I don't know if I don't want to go down that road
paperwork
again.
For a lifetime to go down road. So one of the interesting things that came up over the weekend, it was this discussion of 6 hours of missing call logs from the president during January 6th, the day of January 6th. And I want to say all of last week, the the media was hysterical when it came to, could this be the new Watergate situation? Because it's the new scandal of some form. These 6 mysterious hours of call logs have disappeared from the White House logs. What is going on? What kind of scandal is this? And then over the weekend, it was released that those additional 6 hours were released, and absolutely nothing was different when it came to the call logs. So I think it's just, they're still trying to pull just whatever they can, the media. I mean, the headlines 2 days ago are fantastic. Why is the January 6th investigation taking so long? Why can't the White House get the call logs that they are requesting? Is this what's going to impeach? Is this what's going to impeach the president again? Like, and then today it's like, okay, nothing happened. And it's just, they just keep on trying to find something. And I'm like, don't we have a war that's going on right now? Like, you guys don't have enough time to talk about that? So I and then like increasing crime rates, like there's so many things going on, and yet they continually try to make a mountain
out of a. Let me help you with some Tennessee. That's a mountain out of a molehill.
So, Kimberly Davis, we have now officially entered the Tennessee lingo. So I apologize for viewers if you're not able to understand what the Appalachia is about to happen. Well, you like that? I just thought about it. That was good.
That was clever.
I think
Very
That's
nice.
big for you.
I try.
You're
Don't
normally
ask
not
me to-
that witty, like on the spot. Like
Don't
that.
ask me to spell it, but
And you pronounced it correctly too.
you have no idea
A lot of brownie points.
how many times I have to work on that word. But then we're from Florida, so like Tanana Sasa. Like we have words that are pretty bad already.
Oh my God. It goes to show you the obsession that, the Democratic Party has not only with January 6th, but also with President Trump, because they are not, aside from the fact that they have their very own attorney general who has yet to be able to put in a major conviction against anybody who was there that day.
Well, redefine that. They have put, I think, 68 people in prison or are charged. Individuals that went into the Capitol building and caused.
Sure, but they've all been mostly minor,
Correct.
Minor
Nothing
charges.
has been crazy.
I don't think anybody's gotten more than a few years, maybe a couple of years. I mean, and again, they were kind of stretching on some of these charges, really.
Correct.
I mean, especially when some of the footage again looks like it's, it was a walkthrough tour of the Capitol.
Again, and we've talked about this before. It's two different worlds.
Jeff's trying hard not to.
So we're gonna dance around this topic a little.
They got their.
So, Agent Carter, this is the part where you do not listen. Okay, you don't listen to this part. Go ahead.
I think they're going to take that. They use that day to crucify Trump and conservatives,
right?
And they're going to play that. That's going to get played all the way through 2024 and maybe through history.
But even still, there was nothing really in his speech that you could point to, to say, there was maybe one phrase, if that, I think that you could really point to and say, oh, this is what caused it. It's not like it was the rallying cry. It was not, it wasn't anything that you wouldn't say on any other campaign speech.
It's public knowledge now that most of the violence that happened and was reported happened prior to the speech.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm 99.9% sure that's
okay.
That you can go back to Twitter, you can go back and look at it.
Well, and we're and we had the incident the incident where Ted Cruz, is questioning the FBI director, and she wouldn't confirm or deny the fact that they were FBI agents
in the group,
right? Which over the past now 2-3 years, all we've seen are documents and proof come out that the FBI, had infiltrated in a lot of these groups, and they had instigated and initiated a lot of these problems that they were pinning on others.
Mm-hmm. There's firsthand knowledge and photos, believe it or not, of a food truck in front of the Capitol, people walking their dogs, people singing "God Bless America."
Right.
So the chaos the message that started that whole scenario and leading up to today and anything else that has anyone involved in it, is a lot. The media message is much different from the people that you really encounter that were there that saw it firsthand.
Well, and I've said, go ahead.
There were two, and we've said this before. There are two groups. There was what was happening in the front of the Capitol building, and then there was what's happening in the back of the Capitol building. And what was happening in the back of the Capitol building looked like a war zone. People ramming things into the Capitol, trying to break down doors. And in the front of the Capitol, you're literally taking a tour of the West Wing. It's insane how different it really was.
Well, the West Wing is the White House.
That's why I said it.
The Capitol building.
That's why I said it the way.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
No.
Well, what we also know is that the FBI has intentionally instigated some of these events and planned and coordinated and funded some of these events. Possibly the most egregious one being the plan to kidnap Governor Whitmer from Michigan. And
there was more FBI agents than those that they arrested.
Yeah,
part of the organization.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And the truth of the matter is as I've said on this show many times before, I go, look, if conservatives, Republicans were going to storm the Capitol, okay, and truly cause an insurrection, let me tell you, they wouldn't show up empty-handed.
No.
First of all. And second of all, again, it wouldn't look like a freaking Capitol tour, walking through where they were literally staying between the velvet ropes.
Yeah, there's there's some firsthand knowledge of this quote. The fun's over, boys. You need to get out of here.
Right.
Yes. That's
and look, were there people that caused, chaos there, right? We saw the violence, we saw some of the damage, we saw the guys with the zip ties and the masks and all that stuff.
People lost their lives.
But you're talking about, but you're right, but we're talking about what, maybe 2 dozen people, maybe at most, out of the hundreds, if not thousands, of people that were there that day.
I want to say,
trust 68. Me, anybody that was inside that Capitol, they have their face.
Yeah.
Unless right. But they know who was in and who wasn't out. They know who may have taken federal property that wasn't theirs.
And that's the thing. If they were just charging people for walking in and doing nothing, there would be hundreds of people.
I mean, imagine if they actually prosecuted
67 people.
Imagine if they prosecuted every riot the way they've prosecuted this event.
Yeah, this is public. This is also public knowledge. There are 2 local guys from here that are serving time.
Yep.
Sure.
And listen, 2 of the nicest guys, and it's hard to step back and look at it unless you were there. And I know some people that were there, and some of it was getting caught up in the moment. But for the most part, the people that give you their eyewitness account, after about an hour of the rear of the White House and the shooting, the ambulance was already gone by the time a lot of the people from the Trump speech made it down there.
Okay.
And it's just, you can go back and look at it, but these guys, I hate it for them, but they.
Well, wrong place, wrong time, and look,
exactly right.
And honestly, what they did was wrong.
Yes.
I'm not going to say it wasn't it wasn't the right thing to do, but at the same time, that's the people's building. You know what I mean? That building, along with the White House, belongs to the people.
Not when it's under Democratic control.
I can also tell you firsthand knowledge from other people that about an hour and a half after the chaos in the back, the breaking down the door, that out front was just like you said. Mm-hmm. I mean, other than about a couple
normal day in D.C.,
a couple of thousand people standing up there singing, waving,
sure,
Trump flags. It was. People walking their dogs, people,
right.
And then there was some other people that began to throw tear gas,
right,
from what I understand.
Yeah.
So,
but again, the people that had the weapons were the Capitol Police.
That's right.
And, and again, if conservatives, Republicans, the largest gun-owning share of citizens in this country, really wanted to take over the Capitol, again, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have shown up empty-handed.
Yeah.
And the worst part about this is that we're here now, what is it? 2
years.
Right. 2 years removed. And again, they've pulled this to death. And Democrats know this because I'm sure they have pulled it to death. The American people don't care. It happened, and they've moved on. I mean, we've got a short attention span in this country.
People have made their mind.
Part of it.
People have made their mind up about that event.
Yeah.
Either the ones that thought that a lot was done wrong, which of course is sad to say. There was some things that were done wrong there, and then there was others who think they were there in support of their country that they love, and then there are more than those two groups that don't care.
Yeah, and look, there's plenty of blame to go around.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate that they continue, because really, along with, as Anibal, my favorite podcast, likes to say, along with the media, continuing to work towards dividing this country, it's also the political parties that continue to work towards dividing the country. And the Democrats are continuing to bring this up because they think it's going to get them some brownie points here in this midterm election, where before they get destroyed.
Jonny, there's no money in unity.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
No, that's absolutely right.
That's a good one.
So, and so, as I said earlier, on the Ginny Thomas and Justice Thomas front, people have had issues because they've felt for a number of years that Ginny Thomas has had some undue influence. Oh, did we get knocked offline? No? Okay.
We're still on.
We're still good? All right. So the TV is off, but it looks like it's booting back up. All right. Sorry, folks. Just a little bit of a power surge here.
No, we're still on.
Let's see. So really, what they're trying to say is the smoking gun here in regards to the text regarding January 6th was that Ginny Thomas offered her thoughts regarding legal strategy, including the use of attorney Sidney Powell, and in 1 November 10, 2020 text wrote, "Help this great president stand firm, Mark." And she's talking to Mark Meadows here. "You are the leader with him who is standing for America's constitutional governance at the precipice. The majority knows Biden and the left is attempting the greatest heist of our history." And we've talked about, I think any political show is going to do the outcome of the election at length. But they're talking about this in regards to, again, they're trying to tie it all back to the insurrection on January 6th. And that she may have some influence over her husband, who's been sitting on the Supreme Court for decades. But again, they've never been able to, tie the one to the other, right? Because I'm sure she's, at least to our knowledge, she's never really had those kind of immediate ties. Now, it is known that, some of the Supreme Court nominees that, were being considered, before Brett Kavanaugh, before Amy Coney Barrett, she was involved in some of that process and bringing some of those individuals to the White House. But again, we see power couples all the time. We have one here in the city of Tampa. We have Anna Cruz, who is the largest Democratic fundraiser in the state of Florida, who now works for the largest lobbying firm in Florida. Mm-hmm. And she's married to the city of Tampa's mayor. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know if they're married or not, but they're obviously a couple. And
they are not married. And
we have seen the influence of that relationship lead to major financial decisions made by the city council at large.
With those that are still members.
Yeah. So, those that are left.
So they've had
some that still may not be members.
Ooh, don't say it. We've already said it once on this show, now twice on this show, that we knew about the first shoe, we knew about the second shoe, and evidently there's a third shoe coming out there down the pike.
Cards.
So
third shoe.
It is quite interesting what's happening in the city of Tampa Council, and I am excited to see where this moves down the pike. But to go back to our topic that we're at hand, there are some news networks saying that you cannot put blame on the judge over his wife's allegations when it comes to her positions and her thoughts. And others are saying that he should recuse himself completely from the bench because of her actions and everything else. So it's quite interesting to see what's happening. Others are getting eviscerated on Twitter because they're mocking the Supreme Court justice because of he made a comment in 2018 about how much he loves his wife. And so people are starting to make comments about that. So it's interesting. Saturday Night Live made a bit about it. And of course I didn't watch, because who watched Saturday Night Live now? I'll just watch a YouTube clip later on in the day.
All right. Sorry about that, everybody. We actually just got our Clubhouse room straightened out. So if you want to join us over at Clubhouse, we do try to stream live to our Clubhouse room every Monday night as we are doing the show live. So feel free to look me up, Jonny Torres, on Clubhouse, or you can also search the yard sign if you're looking for it while we're doing the show right now. The great part about joining us on Clubhouse is that it frees up your computer or whatever else you may be doing on your phone because you can listen to us in the background. And then if you'd like to chime in, go ahead and raise your hand in the room and we'll bring you into the conversation. We're going to go ahead and move on to our second story, not too far removed from our first topic, but the DNC and the Clinton campaign officially fined by the Federal Elections Commission for their payments of the creation of the Steele dossier, which has also been now found to be a false document, even though there was, 50-something different attorneys that signed onto it, saying that it was an accurate document, and of course, as we all know, it's now been revealed to have all been a farce, and it kind of really makes you wonder who was really working for the Russians after all this. It reminds. Remember when she came out? Remember when Hillary came out with the big reset button when she was Secretary of State? And how ridiculous that was.
Do you know the rest of that story?
No.
They spelled. They used the wrong word.
Oh yes,
for reset.
That's right. It was something else. Or was it?
It was continue or something that it wasn't. It was complete opposite of reset.
Yeah, lost in translation nonetheless.
I will say this, and I'll read this real quick. The Federal Elections Commission has fined Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign $8,000 and the Democrat National Committee $105,000 for their funding of the Steele dossier, the opposition research report that they sought to highlight allegations between Trump and the Russian government. So that is something that, again, everyone that started hearing about the dossier, you're like, this is too much. It went so extreme to the point to where, like, was he even in Russia at that time? Which that kind of started the domino effect of me not believing in it, because I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. The allegations of him going number one in someone's hotel room in Russia was the dates that they gave were not the dates that he was in Russia. And you're like, so then how are you able to keep on talking about this then?
Well, let's give the FEC one nugget. In politics, a lot of rules are broken.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the time, one party is their punishment comes through.
Right.
So this is one time, I think, where the FEC, at least they find them, at least they enforce the rules.
FCC forgot 1-0.
Seriously.
If you're gonna do that to politicians, you need to move that decimal
exactly
one more point.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's not even her money.
That's her.
So
that's
does
her
she really
blowout.
care?
That's probably how much she pays for a haircut.
Well, given that,
and maybe a chemical peel.
Well, and the worst part is that now Congress is trying to pass a law allowing congressmen to use the funds from their campaigns even after they've left office.
Mm-hmm. True.
So basically they can continue to fundraise and build up this war chest and basically go live off of donations, for the remainder of their days, even after they've left office. Yeah. And so now it becomes
with their
really
pension, with their health care, with their security,
becomes financially, just like a huge win for them to go out there, run for Congress, stay, maybe get it reelected a couple times and then bounce.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that to me is better than the stock market.
Jeff, what do you think?
I don't, at some point in time, the way that our system is set up for elections, that there are going to be rules and those rules need to be followed. And it's going to come back to making sure those are enforced and making sure there are fair elections.
But and again, it just goes back to why January 6th happened in the first place. The people are angry. Mm-hmm. The people are angry and they're disappointed. And it's not even a Republican or a Democrat issue. They're pissed off that both sides have a set of rules for themselves that they get to live unlike anybody else. They get to invest their money like nobody else.
Make so much money.
Make the rules for everybody else, and in an effort to basically keep us where we are.
There's a case to be made that when we initially talked about local politics and accountability, that those in Congress and those in higher places that have access to information, that are able to invest, that get these kind of things, whether it be campaign funding or whatever, that there's no accountability. So the one place where we thought and we still feel like we can make a difference is local.
Yeah.
And there is some, many organizations I could name right now that are holding these, and not only holding the local politicians accountable, but there's almost more scrutiny on local
Officials,
politicians.
But even that's becoming
campaigns.
harder.
Yeah.
Because again, these politicians love to play, the merry-go-round game, and once they've termed out of office in one seat, then they run for another seat. And to reset those terms,
which is legal.
Well, it's legal, but I mean, it doesn't mean that it's right.
No, but you have that situation. I think the way the Florida House and Senate set up their rules, where you're only allowed to be in your office for a certain amount of terms, and then you have to move on.
Right.
Which has
8 years, 4 terms.
Which has done a great job with getting us fresh leaders in the Republican Party,
right,
and getting those people ready to move into the positions above their station.
Right. But you're also against term limits in Congress.
I am against. The reason why I say this is,
which is honestly part of the reason why we have all these issues in the first place.
If the constituents wanted to get those people out, they could vote them out.
Yeah, but then why wouldn't you apply that to the state legislature as well?
You are limiting individuals' rights to vote who they want to elect.
Okay, but again, why wouldn't you apply that to the state legislature?
If it's
good for the state, if term limits are good for the state, then why not apply that to the national?
Because you're asking for something for the entire nation. Hillsborough County, the congressional delegation is not going to limit itself on how many times they can run if the nation isn't going to do the same thing. So if the nation's going to do it, then fine, let's do the whole thing.
I know, but I'm talking about you. You say that you would think that it's perfect, that it's actually a positive thing, that it's a great thing that we have term limits here in Florida.
The constituents of Florida wanted to make that a thing.
And you just said that it was a great reason.
It was a great thing, but the constituents in the country do not want that. And if the constituents in the country don't want it, then
it's
they
actually
don't have
wrong. Actually, most of there's polling out there.
It is the complete opposite. Everyone hates the other person's congressional leader, but they love their leader.
But they're generally in favor of term limits.
They want to get rid of. They want term limits on someone else, not on their person. That's what the polling says.
Well, that's the most ridiculous part about all of this is that they continue to reelect their person.
Exactly.
Despite the abysmal congressional approval rating.
The worse congressional approval rating is, the better incumbency is. And that's an oxymoron. But
my point is, if you've seen what a great job term limits do for the state of Florida, why not apply that to our national legislature?
I only have the right to put my representatives in my district, in my state. I do not have the right to tell someone from California.
You're trying to make a technical argument when I'm talking about your personal opinion.
I'm not. I'm trying to be honest with you. I believe individually.
Jeff gets exactly. You're trying to.
Why you guys throw the white boy into this?
You're trying to have your cake and eat it too.
I'm not. I'm being honest. I want Marco Rubio.
No, you literally just said, "Man, term limits here in Florida are awesome."
Yes, I do.
Except
you know
in Washington,
D.C. And you know why? Because I live in Florida, and I get to make those. I get to actually have input in how to make those.
Yes, but you also vote for Congress, and don't you think that it would have the same effect in Congress?
Would you rather have only Floridian House delegates be limited on term limits?
No, everybody. I want term limits for everybody.
You don't have the right to say that. You don't have the right to say that because you don't represent people in other states.
I'm not talking. You're completely twisting. You're completely twisting the conversation.
How?
Because obviously, if you think it's a great idea for Florida, then it would be a great idea for the nation as a whole. It's great
for the Florida House representatives to do what they're doing. Do I believe
it's the whole Florida legislature, it's the Senate as well?
Do I believe that what Texas does in regards to their by every other year when it comes to when they do their sessions, that's what they do. And you know what? It works for them.
We're talking about term limits in general.
I'm not talking about term limits in general.
I am, though. That's what I'm saying. You're not answering the question.
We've now gone to the root.
You're avoiding you're avoiding the question.
I'm not.
Yes.
If the whole country wants to do it, I'm okay with it. If the country doesn't want to do it, I'm not okay with it.
I'm asking for your opinion. I'm not asking for the whole country's opinion. I just gave you my opinion.
I'm okay with it in the state. I'm not okay with it nationally.
So you don't have an opinion on it?
I do have an opinion on it.
Oh my God!
You wanting term limits is
So you're a populist, in other words. You just want what's popular.
No, I'm a loyalist.
No, you're
And
not. You're a populist.
No, I'm not.
Of course, because you just want to go with the. You just want to go with the way of the wind blows.
If the country wants to do it, then let's do it. But I am not going to put limitations
But that
on
wasn't
our
the
representatives
question.
in Florida because you want term limits on them.
That wasn't the question.
You are disenfranchising other voters. Voters have the right. There are term limits. You are kicked out of office, or when you're voted out of office. That is a term limit.
Okay, then do you want to do away with term limits in Florida?
I have no comment on that. Just because I can't think of a comment at the moment.
Oh my God!
I'm going to
Again,
make
you're
some people
completely
mad
avoiding
here,
the-
but I'm going to go with Jonny on this.
I mean,
And
honestly,
that's fine. If you, we
and
already
look,
have
I
it.
get. It would be difficult.
Every
to pick
election
out,
is a
no.
term limit.
I'm going to turn your mic off. Because you don't have. You don't have an opinion on this topic. Apparently, only Jeff and I do. And so.
Don't like my opinion.
No, you don't have an opinion. Your opinion is whatever the people want. Whatever the people want. That's what I want. Whatever the people want.
Democracy and the republic. It's such a difficult concept.
Yes, on a show that's based on a personal opinion.
Yes, I've already told you my opinion.
Yeah, and your opinion is whatever the population
First of all, when that whole term limit situation occurred, we weren't even able to vote at that time. So let's all calm it down at the moment.
Oh, stop.
And two, you telling people that that the government is limiting someone from running for an election is limiting the voice of the people. If New York wants to bring back that idiot of a governor, they have the right to do it.
We're not talking about state government. You're talking about the governor. You're talking about Texas.
Yes.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about
in
Washington.
Florida-
Stop. We're talking about Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. means the whole country, Johnny.
Exactly.
And I can't speak for other states.
I'm
and
not
other
asking you
individuals.
to. I'm asking if
And
you are in favor of term limits.
I've told you multiple times, I believe elections are term limits. If the citizens don't want the individual,
Okay, then do
they
you
can vote
want
them
those?
out.
Then do you want to remove term limits for the Florida legislature?
No, I don't. Because it's already in our system.
Yeah, but what if the people want it?
If the people want it, then they'll vote them in and out.
It already works that way.
You are asking for something to be added on to the federal government.
Yes.
Where we do not allow for
We do it all the
individuals
time.
to continue to increase their vote and to allow them to continue to run
The
in their
system
elections.
is broken.
The
And honestly,
people
it's
are
probably
broken. It's not the system. The people are broken.
Congress is broken.
No, it's not. It's the people. See,
Congress is broken.
No, Congress is not broken. The people are broken. If the people in the Nancy Pelosi's district want to keep on electing her, then they have the right to elect her. And we do not have the right to tell other people who they can and cannot choose as their representatives.
Right.
In
So
the
you
federal
don't think
government.
the fact that she's become a multimillionaire off the backs of Americans for decades, okay, because she's clearly insider trading, okay,
We live
with complete disregard for the financial system in
I
this
get
country.
what you're saying, and I agree with everything you're saying. But at the end of the day, we are a republic, and we have to ensure the rights of the individuals
Yes, but there's
to
nothing-
elect those people. You
there's-
want to cause?
there's no
if you
problem
wanna
with saying-
if you want to start a investigation that shows that she has committed crimes against the people, which odds are there's tons of. You know what? Let's do
Yes,
that.
insider trading being the worst of them.
But technically not when it comes to the Congress, when it comes to the Senate and the House.
It is.
in the fed. No,
Because when I work, yes,
there
when
is
I
a carve out. You know this is a carve out, and it just now got flipped over. They just now are starting to talk about reversing their agreements when it comes to insider trading.
yes, for everyone except them. If you work in a Senate, if you work in a congressional office, you literally have to sign a paper saying that the information that
Yes.
you gain while in that
Yes.
office cannot be used for any personal investment purposes.
Yes, you are an employee of the federal government. As an
Yes.
employee, not
So
as an
are
elected
they.
official. No, there's a carve out. There are bills in the House.
Of course they are, which is why we need term limits to get rid of
No,
them.
there are bills in the House right now that's pushing for there to remove that carve out.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell someone else who they can and cannot vote for. That is the fundamental basis of the republic. Thank
But
you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching.
They are also not going to put themselves out of a job. Again, polling has showed that people are all for term limits in
Yes,
Congress.
and polling has
They
shown
are
that
not-
12% of the country believes that chocolate milk comes from chocolate cows. What is your point?
The point is that they're
just
not going to put themselves. They're not going to put themselves out of a job. They're not passing it because they realize that that it would cost them their jobs.
You want to do something that the people are not allowed to do? The people can get them out of office if the people want. I am not going to sit here and say that someone that I don't agree with and
But you're a hypocrite on the very issue
How
because
am
you
I
think that
hypocrite?
it's fine. You think it's actually a great thing here in
I think
Florida.
it's great in Florida because I get the right to pick and choose my elected officials here in Florida.
All right.
But if you don't like someone that lives in a different state in a different county just because of their political views, but they keep on getting elected by their constituents, that's their constituents. Congress is not broken. The people are broken, if that's your position.
No, okay. I'll meet you halfway, and I'll say if they both are.
Well, we found a place.
I think you're both right, but I was just sitting here thinking I'm going to get out of my lane a little bit here. But one thing that's weird about the voice of the people, literally have elections where we have less than 30% turnout.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So just maybe.
And that's part of the reason why he says the people are broken.
No, the people vote in the electorate, and the electorate is a representation of the people.
Electoral college doesn't apply to Congress.
I apologize for using the word electorate. The electors, those that we elect to represent us, is a snapshot of the people of that particular.
Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry,
I just think that term limits may, in some way, if it was enforced nationally, increase voter turnout and voter engagement, because you have to do it to get your man in.
Sure.
People like Pelosi and some local officials here, because of where they live and the district that they're in, are almost guaranteed to win.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at the historical trends right on, it's all there for you to see. So,
well,
maybe,
I think would be a very different country. I mean, with term limits. I mean, imagine, even on our side, if Boehner hadn't been around as long as he did, or if McConnell hadn't been around as he did.
On both
I mean, I think would be a very different country, and we wouldn't have idiots in Congress that don't know how Facebook works.
I think we'll have.
There'd be a completely different strategy for sure.
Yeah, completely different strategy.
And
So here we go. This is actually from a website called termlimits.com. So let's see.
Is that misinformation?
Yes. So they're going to ban this video as soon as we're done with it. But let's see. 77%. Okay. Support for term limits in Congress here in Florida. 77%. Colorado, 81%. Arizona, 85%. Alabama, 81%.
The poll that
Georgia, 80%.
That asked the next question on that phone call.
a shameless plug, but
Again.
you guys are getting Kimberly Davis very upset about this stuff.
Again, I don't. The poll is going to agree with you on your side and on my side, because the poll, people want term limits, but they do not want it to affect their representative.
That's because most of them don't even know who the representative is.
I'm not denying that fact, but I'm telling you, it's a two-sided sword in this situation, a two-sided coin in this situation.
Which is all the more reason why we need term limits.
They
is
want
because
term limits, but they
most of
don't
them
want
have
it
no
to
idea
affect-
who's even in office.
They don't want it to affect their person. Hence why incumbency is always or will always get reelected when the percentage of those that approve of Congress is as low as it is. It's because they are pissed off at Congress, but they're not pissed off at their guy. That's mind-boggling, but it's true.
But again, it's why both sides of the argument are right, which is that not only are the people broken, but again, Congress is broken as well.
Congress is the people. If you separate it, then you're missing the
Congress
point.
is not the people.
It is. It's that people.
It might have been at one point.
It's the people's house.
You know as well as I do the amount of money that it takes to run for Congress.
I don't know about any money. I don't know anything. What kind of money? What are you talking about?
A lot.
Yeah, let me tell you, the people are not funding these congressional campaigns.
Technically, the people are funding those campaigns.
All right, everybody. I don't even know where we are time-wise, but we're going to go ahead and jump into our third topic here.
Only three
tonight.
topics, Johnny?
Don't forget, if you missed any of tonight's show, you can catch the video version to see our beautiful faces on Facebook and YouTube. You can find us by searching for the yard sign. And if you want to subscribe to the audio portion of our show, again, you can take it with you whenever, wherever you may want to listen to us at our tech overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Samsung podcast platforms. Again, you can take us whenever, wherever you want to go and listen to us on demand.
Even Jesus is upset with us right now.
Who?
Even Jesus is upset with us right now. The room is shaking.
So we're flickering, and I don't know what's going on.
I will say this. I apologize, Kimberly Davis, for our tone.
Man.
The beauty of Johnny and I's relationship is that we both know that is a third rail for both of us. And this is why we're able to laugh about this right now. We'll spend at least half an hour in the parking lot after this, though.
Termlimits.com, everybody.
Yes.
All
The
right.
Incorrect
So,
polling numbers.
There is video that has been leaked this past week, over the weekend, conveniently, from an internal Disney meeting where they were talking about inclusion, and they were talking about their efforts to, well, basically expose more children to the LGBTQIA XYZ plus minus sign ampersands community. And yes, I'm obviously being a bit of a sarcastic jerk there, but what's really disappointing about this particular topic is just that, being a born and raised Floridian and being able to basically walk the Disney parks with my eyes closed, okay, because I've been there so much, to see an institution like Disney that I've admired and worked for in the past, take on a political agenda as it has when it comes to the educating of children in alternative lifestyles. Again, this really is a microcosm of the left's overall agenda, into thinking that they know better than you as a parent as to how to expose your children to other lifestyles that may be out there in regards to genders and sexuality. And again, initially, when some of these, when people started speaking up on Twitter and Facebook, about what Disney has been doing, I thought maybe it was just, people picking sides in the Don't Say Gay bill, because that is kind of where all of this stemmed from. Disney, of course, incredibly, now vocal about their opposition to the bill that passed, which again had nothing to do with saying gay. It really only applies to children under the age of, I think it's 8 years old. And so that would be about K through third grade. And basically all it's asking is for teachers and people in the school system to not discuss issues of gender and sexuality to minors, which I don't think is a big problem. I don't think it's a big ask to have, to require state employees to not have these conversations without a parent being present. And so,
That's why we're parents.
I mean, we thought that the issues up in Virginia were going to swing elections. I think this is going to be the Youngkin kind of wave all over again here in Florida. And you listen to this, and if you want to find it, it's very easy to find. Ben Shapiro has a great a great edit of this meeting, and where they are literally talking about how they are intentionally, purposefully putting LGBTQ content into your children's programming. It's not a rumor. It's not a conspiracy theory. They are literally talking about how this is being done with intent to put this in front of children, to put this in front of minors. And so we've taken Disney, who's now is taking a turn from a family-friendly media entity, media conglomerate, to now basically an activist media organization. And, the thing is that, I was talking about this earlier with one of our show regulars, Joe Wicker, and Joe made a great point, which is that the truth is that this stuff has always been in there. We just never looked for it. And it's true that until you actually go and you start kind of looking for it, that's when you start to spot it. And while, again, your children may not recognize it, and again, you may be oblivious to it, maybe the first 10 times that you saw Turning Red, once you start looking for this stuff and looking in the background for this stuff, it's there, folks. And that's the heartbreaking part about all this. Because, again, as someone who has spent a large amount of my income at Disney and do so quite often, to think that now you truly have to monitor and preview and siphon everything that your child consumes for fear of indoctrination through the media they're consuming, is a heartbreaking task to have to take on, especially in 2022, and especially from a company like Disney that you felt was about creating kids content. I'm not even talking about promoting family values. I'm talking about the simple fact of creating content that is safe and friendly and educational, and for children. You know, I even sent the video to somebody that works at the company and hadn't even seen it, and they were heartbroken about it. This is going to have huge repercussions, and you know, if they don't change course, which I would find it hard for them to do so at this point. You know, the governor's talking about stripping away a lot of their economic incentives, and he's talking about really, you know, basically holding them to task, you know, about a lot of the other luxuries that they get. They get to basically self-govern themselves here in Central Florida. They don't technically fall under any county rules or laws. Because they have the Reedy Creek Development District, which if you've driven through Disney and you see the fire trucks and the police and all that stuff, those are their entities, and they basically have self-governance. Well, if they keep this up, all that's going away, especially under Ron DeSantis, and especially when we're looking at another 6 years of Governor Ron DeSantis, and money talks, right? We don't even need to get into the hypocrisy of everything else that Disney's doing. And I'm sure you guys are probably ready to point that out, you know, but I can assure you that if the financial incentives go away and the self-governance goes away, we're going to see major moves by Disney, whether it be here in Florida or as a company as a whole. Sorry, I went on a rant there, but again, I'm passionate about it because I'm a former cast member. I went through their college program. I have a lot of love for the company, and my daughter loves the company and pretty much everything they put out. And it's heartbreaking to see what they're turning it into and how they're allowing a political agenda to take it over.
Totally inappropriate. But I just wanted to jump in here and say one thing. I grew up in Bartlett, Tennessee, population 1,200. Going to inject Tennessee here.
Number 3.
It's much larger than that now, but I can't imagine what would have happened when I was growing up in elementary school if my mother and father had have found out that this was being taught to me and exposed to me. Children are innocent, and I think it's totally out of line, totally out of order. But I just can't imagine what would have happened. And I can't imagine where we are today, especially with a company like Disney doing it. I think it's,
I mean, at least Sesame Street has the transparency and the diligence of coming out and saying, hey, we're going to introduce a character maybe without parents. We're going to introduce a character with autism. We're going to introduce, you know, and I think they are, if they haven't already, I think they're going to introduce, you know, a character, you know, among the Sesame Street cast, you know, that is, of a different lifestyle, you know, but at least they come out and say it.
Yes,
right.
They're very honest about it.
They're very honest and upfront about it. And to be fair, Sesame Street has always been very political.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know, I just saw a phenomenal documentary on it, and they have also been very transparent from the beginning that it was essentially a political vehicle from its inception. But that's not
on both sides to use it, and they've used it. Both sides have used Sesame Street,
and that's not. But that's not Disney, and to see them and basically laugh and just have this joy about the fact that they're disseminating this agenda among children's programming and get a joy out of him is also just sickening.
I'll say this. I think what's happened at Disney is that they've allowed, again, and we've seen this in other companies, they've allowed the woke left of their employees to take control of the ship. And now that they are in control, we have to let them go as woke as they want to go before they can go broke. Now, do I see Disney closing up shop in Orlando? No, that's not going to happen. Billions and billions of dollars have been invested, and it's not going to happen. But I will say this. The likelihood of my family renewing our annual pass is looking less and less. I mean, that's the honesty right now. You're going to get your money from people that come to Orlando because they want to go to Disney, but there are a lot of other parks and a lot of options, and people are going to make those decisions. And you are allowing people to be like, you know what, I don't think I'm going to renew. You know what, let's try Universal. You know what, let's try something else. And now you have shareholders from Disney saying to tell the CEO to stop wasting money on political crusades, and that's what this has become. I mean. And yes, the hypocrisy of Disney telling us about this right now when they are allowing Disney stream to be able to be streamed in countries that are literally killing gay people and throwing them off of roofs. It's absolutely atrocious. So like please, half of your stuff is made in sweatshops in China. So let's all calm down and get off our moral high ground when it comes to this. I will tell you this though, the liberals have done a great job reclassifying HB 1557, the parent right in education, to what they're calling it now, which is a complete farce. But I'm not surprised if the left will make anything up to win an argument, because that's just how they are. Jeff, what's your thoughts?
I agree totally. It just goes back to everything else, all the messaging. This is how they do it. They try to take whatever issue it is and do exactly what you're talking about to divide us. It's a theme in politics, and it works. And it works for the left. It gets them votes. It gets
and that's the thing. I think people are hearing the statement that Disney's temporarily reassess how they spend their political dollars, right? And again, previously, that money was used for financial incentives. Right. Give us more money so we can expand. Give us more money so we can make movies here. Give us more money so and it was all very financially motivated, and that's fine. I get all of that, and in fact, I'm in favor of a lot of that stuff. I'm one of the Republicans, although I consider myself a fiscal conservative. I'm all for film incentives. No. You know what I mean? Because again, we can't survive on tourism alone. Mm-hmm. And we continue to destroy our agricultural industry due to our growth. And that's that just is what it is. But what scares me about them saying, well, we're just going to pull our political dollars and we're just going to keep that money and just kind of go quiet on the political front, is that what we are seeing in these leaked meetings is just going to fire that. It's just going to add fuel to that fire. It's just going to encourage them and motivate them even more to, again, secretly and very intently put more of this type of content in our children's programming.
If you're liberal on the left, there's really not a lot to be bragging about right now. I don't think in terms of.
But look what this did for them in Virginia. Mm-hmm. Look at what it did to messing with people's kids. Look what it did to Virginia. It literally in 2 years turned Virginia from a blue state to a red state. Yeah. And if Democrats don't get on the bandwagon when it comes to parental rights, I mean, this isn't going to stop in 2 years. It's not going to stop in 4 years. I mean, they're going to be looking at a bleak future.
I mean, we were already seeing, and again, we have people that are listening right now that are doing this in the school board at the moment. People are seeing that they cannot trust the school board. They cannot trust those representatives to educate, because again, we were all stuck at home and we were all able to see what our kids were being taught, and that opened a lot of eyes to a lot of people of like, you guys aren't doing anything. Or they're not teaching you, or there's no records or anything else. And then on the opposite side, the expectations were absolutely astronomical and obscene. You're expecting, and this is firsthand, you're expecting kids with special needs to be on a computer for 7 hours a day? Have you lost your mind when it comes to sensory issues? Do you have no idea when it comes to the economic and family dynamic? You're going to give every kid a laptop? Are you even sure that they have internet? How are you going to feel? I mean, the thing.
Not only that, the fact that they don't want to accept what's actually happening in the homes of a lot of these kids too, where they don't have a quiet corner to sit in. They don't have parents that they can count on to help them with getting online and with doing their homework and doing their classwork. A lot of kids, that's a luxury nowadays.
Disney went too far, and Disney has done a lot of things that people are upset about, and this is going to push people even further to get upset when it comes to Disney. Lifelong Disney people I've known my entire life are like, we're never going again.
Yeah.
Never, and that's where they make their bread and butter.
On top of the fact that
in.
under the new CEO, I mean, they're quite literally nickel and diming everybody.
Correct. No, the increase in costs and everything else is absolutely astronomical.
You know, and it goes down to even such ridiculous stuff like, you know, the entrance, you know, the entrance, the announcements at the entrance to the park, or the announcements to the start of the parade, you know, and which again was one of the things that I literally have it ingrained in my brain to where I can mimic the announcer's voice, you know, and I'm not going to do it because I get too much joy out of it. But, you know, you hear it go, and it's like, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know, and then whatever the announcement is. Yeah. And they're going to completely do away with that. They've already announced that they're going to get rid of that announcement. Yeah. The director of parks, the president of Disney Parks, is saying that they are intentionally getting rid of that announcement to be more inclusive. And so now it's going to be something stupid like, you know, attention all dreamers, you know, and so, you know, and I've told people this before. Look, I mean, you know, my daughter's 6, and she's going to be enjoying Legoland a lot more for the time being, you know, because it's truly a park made for kids. Yeah. You know, Legoland is that's the other thing. A lot of people want to think that Disneyland's for kids. It's not. No. Disneyland is made for adults and for children.
Epcot is made for adults. You know. Don't get me wrong. I sit in the Parisian pavilion almost all day when I go, and I eat a baguette, and it's good. But I can't do that now.
Yeah, but I think it's a great move on DeSantis's part. And speaking of Virginia, I know the Community Patriots, Kimberly Davis, led this. We made calls for Youngkin in Virginia. Yep. But I think the move on parental rights, I think, you know, as we, our board, Kimberly, and everybody that's involved in our group, I think you're seeing that a lot. The parental rights, the people that are running for school board, and it's spilling over everywhere. Yeah. Into every single office, that how important parental rights are. I think this governor, the move that the governor's making and putting it out right now, the ramifications that could come back on them, I think it's a positive.
I think it's a positive. I agree with you. And I think it's all positive because right now you have another boogeyman, and people don't like Disney because they got to pay $500 to get in there. You can go to one of our speaker or one of the comment. You can go to Europe when it comes to go for how much you pay. Well, I'm sorry, we spend a lot of money at Disney.
Hotel and dinners.
I apologize. Well, we stay on campus, and so. What?
But exactly to that point. I mean, with just the hotel stay, I mean, you could easily buy a couple of flights to, you know, just about any country you want.
You can, yes.
I mean, honestly, I stayed there over the summer. No, I'm sorry, it was over the winter. You know, for my daughter's birthday, we went and stayed on property. You know, and we thought $150 a night was a deal. You know what I mean? Because that's a deal nowadays at Disney. Yeah. I mean, that's about as cheap as you're going to get to stay on property. And so you have to start to reconsider. It's like, what for? You know, and why am I going to continue? And I'm not one of these that likes to jump on the boycott bandwagon, you know, because I think most of those are stupid and never actually accomplish anything. Mm-hmm. You know, but it is, I'll tell you what it is, and that is taking a second look at what am I exposing my kids to? What am I truly 100%. Exposing my kids to?
It's a conversation that everyone's having now because they realized when they didn't pay attention that this was happening. Now I have to, and again, I agree with you. You watch these movies from Disney that's aimed for kids, and you're gonna watch it like 100 times because the kids love it and everything else. And then you start seeing these minor messages, and you're like, I'm not comfortable with this.
Right.
And you know why? And they try to tell you, you don't have the right to do that. I can say what I want to say. It's my household. We're purchasing this service from you, and because of that, we can cancel it. And we know people that have canceled.
Yeah. And the thing is that they don't care.
They don't.
You know, they want to say, oh, well, you know, they want to claim that again, the whole grooming of these children is a conspiracy.
This is a definition. These videos that were leaked are a definition case study of grooming children.
Of course,
that believe and think a certain way. And again, I don't have an issue what lifestyle the person wants to have. I just don't want it to be subliminally put into the children's positions.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, again, you're involved with the Log Cabin Republicans, which is, you know, kind of the gay or LGBTQ offshoot of the Republican Party. Okay. And, you know, I grew up in Miami, which again, incredibly diverse, incredibly LGBTQ friendly. Hell, I was a cheerleader both in college and high school for 5 years. And so you come across, you know, every lifestyle choice, you know, you can think of, you know, gender, sexuality, you name it. I don't have anything against any of that. but I want to choose at what time and what place I expose my kids, to, the realities of the world.
Correct. And I cannot believe we're having this conversation because from kindergarten to third grade, that we shouldn't be teaching children about sexual orientation. We shouldn't be teaching sex ed. Why is I get high school, I get even middle school now. We can't even do the first half of elementary. My God, you're literally arguing about this, and it's almost like you guys want these children to be talking about sex that young at an age. It's just it scares me. It's kind of disgusting as an adult thinking that you should be teaching these children at that age that kind of content. I just don't agree. And especially the fact every time they do a raid of pedophilers, they always catch like 5 or 7% of those groups from Disney employees. It's really weird.
They get a teacher or they get something.
Oh yeah. No, there's always a couple teachers mixed in there. There's always some Disney employees mixed in there. I mean, it's ugly.
Jonathan, can you please go on to Clubhouse and see if you can get Kimberly Davis on?
Well,
that woman is literally screaming in the comment section.
I don't see her in the room, but I'll try to get her. Hector is here. Hector has his mic off though. But Hector, go ahead and
Kimberly, get into Clubhouse so that you can actually say something out loud.
Yeah, Hector, what's up, buddy? Hello.
I don't even know why we tried.
Hector.
Oh man, it worked great last time. Hold on.
It did.
Yeah.
It's been a few shows.
Man, I'm just happy that in the third grade, Miss Gates didn't tell me what her said. Wow.
Mrs. Rose, I did not want to hear from her what was going on in the reproduction system in third grade.
I mean, there were certain teachers that you just kind of knew. I mean, they didn't need to say anything.
I mean, at that age, I was probably picking the right pronoun, honestly, if you want to say some of these teachers. And this is private school that we had these conversations. I'm like, are you really, Mrs.? Because I can't, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just trying to pick your pronoun that you're I'm trying to pick which pronoun that you're trying to give me here.
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to see if we can get Hector on here. Hector, you there?
Teacher. Back in Bartlett, Tennessee.
Well, besides the 2 genders and the 172 that have been approved at the moment. I'm sorry, 174.
Thank you for clarifying that.
There's the clarification. Eventually, this is someone's gonna watch this.
There we go.
Hey.
Hey guys, how's it going? Just on the whole Disney thing, I put a comment in the Facebook stream. You guys have to look at where Disney is at geographically. I mean, it's in Orlando. It's, in my opinion, the center of liberalism in the state of Florida. Just look at their delegation up in
Tallahassee,
in the state legislature. Look,
well, ironically too, because
Anna Escamani's from there, Carlos Guillermo Smith, Daisy Torres, in Congress, Stephanie Murphy's from there. So.
But the irony really is that Orlando used to be the Bible Belt of the state. I mean, before Disney, famously, there's even a documentary about it. Before Disney moved into Orlando, you had a lot of large Christian organizations that were actually based out of there. Yeah. And they were a super, uber Christian conservative part of the state. And you're right. I mean, Disney, I think, had a huge part in shifting a lot of that due to the nature of being in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, and and another thing with Disney, this just to the left is not a recent thing. I mean, just look at what happened with ESPN a few years ago when they started to get into, topics that the left would like to touch on, race, gender / sexuality. That's another big.
Yeah, but see, what's funny, what's really weird about the whole ESPN thing is that they actually tend to lean more conservative on the ESPN side. I mean, and obviously that's hard to gauge. But my point, my one example being Sage Steele, she's an African American anchor on ESPN, actually conservative, right, and has put out some conservative opinions out there on her social media space, to the extent that liberals have actually gone after her to try to get her fired.
I think she's out of ESPN now, but then again, they also got rid of Jamel Hill, Dan Le Batard, so they seem where. supporting liberalism to a certain degree will take them.
Yeah.
But I think just now,
jump in.
And remember too, supposedly Disney's facing serious long-term trouble. Supposedly they're being looked at as being bought by Apple or another big tech company. So, they're probably doing this as a marketing ploy to get somebody to buy them to secure a long-term future. But I honestly see it more as basically just the manifestation of how far to the left Orlando has gone. Because you're right, Central Florida. You go to Stanford, you go to the Villages, you go to Deltona, Daytona Beach. That's Trump country out there.
It's true.
But Orlando's even more than Miami, for Christ's sake. So
that is true.
No denying, though, the wave of left agenda into TV, entertainment, music, and big corporations.
And look, we saw it happen in Georgia. We saw it happen in Georgia with the movie industry, and we see how Georgia is trending blue. And actually, to Hector's point, politically, we've seen Orlando over the years, become very liberal. Especially in the areas closest to the theme parks. So Kissimmee, South Orlando, and even the city of Orlando. And it's because, again, especially now, like how many thousands of employees did Disney announce that they were moving to Florida from California? And again, these are people who, most of them didn't want to move here. They were
California. I think some of them wanted to move here.
No, they were forced to move here because of the pandemic, and Disney didn't want to get shut down again. And so it's really, again, it's about the bottom line for them, first and foremost, and then second of all is their political agenda. And so you've got thousands of Californians who have now been relocated. Because it was either their job or they stay in California. And then just naturally, again, they're going to attract people that are, predominantly in the media industry. And those people tend to be very liberal.
Yeah, I mean, and also Jonny, but I got a question though about Disney withholding any political contributions. Do you see these people actually contributing to Anna Escamani, Carlos Guillermo Smith, Daisy Torres? I was thinking of the state senator from Kissimmee, Puerto Rican gentleman. He was in the Marines and he was a cop.
Soto? Darren Soto?
He's an old.
Oh, okay.
But do you see that this whatever money these people were contributing before to the GOP is going to suddenly end up going to the DNC in Central Florida and really helping those guys out?
No, because the Democrats are powerless in the Florida legislature.
That's the biggest thing.
And that's why on Anna Escamani, she'll come out and she'll obviously wave the LGBTQ flag because that's her base, and she likes being the AOC of Florida.
Carlos Guillermo Smith as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Carlos Smith actually, again, and I've met both of them. I've talked to them face to face. They're both really nice people. But again, like they know their base, they know their agenda, and they're not shy about it. But they are, pretty useless in the Florida legislature. And so, yeah, they can get their $30,000 a year, but they're not getting much done. And so it's really not going to be beneficial to Disney to donate to them because there's not much that they can do for them. And again, I think.
But what if they run for Congress? Because I could totally see Escamani running for Congress.
Maybe at that point, Disney will probably struck a check because Disney on a national level, obviously their priorities change. The political environment changes. There may be some leverage there. Again, when it comes to federal grants. Look, these corporations, they get grant money too. Because they're going to go after money, job creating grants, environmental grants. I can assure you that Disney is getting tons of federal dollars as well. And so while Anna, is on the surface, wagging her finger at all these Republicans who take corporate dollars, I bet you that she will not hesitate 1 minute to take a check from Disney, especially at the federal level where she might actually have more leverage than she does in Tallahassee.
Yeah, and another question. Look, what you. I think Anibal mentioned something about Universal. Who owns Universal? Look at who owns Universal. Comcast. Comcast owns all the owns NBC outright, even MSNBC. So who's to say that Comcast isn't going to try to go the way of Disney? Because as you said, it's all about the bottom line. It's all about expanding their customer
But it also depends how much pain is Disney going to get. So if Disney is already getting pushback from shareholders, and a lot of retail investors have Disney, they're not going to be happy with a dip in there. And their parks are already still struggling when it comes to bringing in revenue.
Well, let me just kind of really just kind of close that question with this response, which is that they're already to the left. Comcast, let's not forget, as you just said, owns NBC Universal, and which includes Universal Studios. But let's not forget that also means that they own MSNBC. So they're already doing quite a bit of work on the left side of the aisle with MSNBC as one of their media outlets. And I'm sure they've got, like Disney, they've got tons of investments in smaller media entities that, are going to help them push their agenda. So Universal's no better really in this situation than Disney is. Disney's just the bigger target. Because they are the bigger revenue generator for Central Florida and for tourism as a whole. Now, as Anibal said, they're not going to pick up the Magic Kingdom and just walk away. But there is pain that they can put on the state in different ways. Again, like moving operations back to California or moving their operations to other states.
Yeah, but the reason why
even here in Tampa, they have a call center that it would cost Tampa hundreds of jobs.
Yeah, but they're also not going to move them to other parts of the country that are just as red or have just as high or have higher taxes. That's the reason why they're here.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
There's more pain that the governor can do to Disney than Disney can do to the state of Florida. And I agree wholeheartedly with the governor's doing at the moment, and I feel that he needs to continue to move in that direction.
Well, you have
Jeff,
to.
what are your thoughts?
I agree totally. No, I think, again, it's the governor is going back to even COVID. The governor is going to make decisions that put Florida in the forefront for freedom.
Yep.
And he's also going to make sure that he holds people in this state accountable, whether it be a corporation or entities, also to make sure that they stand for what the state stands for.
What a controversial statement. Having the governor make sure that people are being held accountable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of it, Jonny.
No, and again, to Jeff's point, I agree with what the governor's doing because, do we really want a governor that's going to kowtow to any corporate agenda? I don't care what side of the aisle it's on. Do we really want a governor, that's going out there to again, bend at the knees to any of these corporate conglomerates? Because we've got a lot of them. Again, we're very lucky that we have a lot of major corporations here that have a presence, but we wouldn't tolerate it, whether it's Disney or Microsoft or, any other major core, Walmart, or, I'm glad that we have a governor that is not going to kowtow to these big corporate conglomerates.
There's no two finer examples than standing up to the administration about closing states down, and number two, when nobody could get any ships into port, the governor going into the press and saying Florida's ports are open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well,
we're doing business.
We're just about to close out tonight's show. I think we got Kimberly in our clubhouse room. Kimberly, you there? She's got herself muted here. So let's see if she kind of...
Gabriel, we're giving you to the count of 5. 4.
Let's see. Nope.
3.
She's still muted.
2. 1.5. 1.25.
So if I do that.
Half. Kimberly, come.
Hi, am I here?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we hear you.
Just in time.
Right there.
Go.
So apparently you were about to crawl through your laptop screen. So
I was.
go ahead and close out.
I did.
Close out the
Apparently
show
I
for
did
us.
To find my way into
There we
this
go.
clubhouse thing.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. We've talked about quite a bit tonight. So, what kind of lit the fire tonight?
So let's start with, well, I'm not going to start with anything because you guys are finishing with everything, but let's put a whole other show.
On the same thing.
Yeah. Let's put a whole other show into what we can talk about. But for tonight,
Well, you're going to be joining us on the show again soon. All right.
yes,
So
I will be there next Monday.
well, all right. Then so we'll go ahead and make sure that we kind of set aside a topic or two for you. Kimberly Davis joining us on Clubhouse again. Don't forget, if you'd like to join us on the show, you can do so as well. Search for me, Jonny Torres, on Clubhouse, or you can search for the yard sign. Jeff Hawks from Community Patriots, Kimberly Davis from Community Patriots. Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget, for more information on that amazing organization, it's community-patriots.com. That's community-patriots.com. What's coming up? When's your next meeting?
We have a meeting coming up next Wednesday at in Ybor City. You can go to the website and get the address there. But we got I just wanted to talk about two huge events coming up. We have one coming up April the 23rd at the American Legion. It's going to be candidates are going to be there. It's kind of a community get together.
Love it.
And then our big fundraiser will be out at the barn at the Winthorpe May the 19th. We're hoping that this is our biggest.
Oh, in middle of Brandon there.
Yeah, we're hoping this is our largest.
What date is that again? May
the 19th.
The 19th.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what event is that's the fundraiser?
Yep, it's actually going to be a fundraiser for Hillsborough County constitutional candidates. It's going to be 70s. You got to wear a costume. The band Nightbreakers will be playing, and we have about 18 tables we'll be selling along with regular tickets for the show. It's going to be awesome. Probably about 8 speakers and a couple of guest speakers. So it's our biggest event yet to support these local candidates standing up for liberty and freedom. So we're excited.
All that up on the website?
The date's up. The details are coming. It's still 2 months away.
Okay.
We'll have all the details up in the next couple of weeks, but you can get the dates on the website.
Well, we'll keep mentioning it here on the show. Again, that's community-patriots.com. I want to thank everybody for watching. Again, for the video version, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube. For the audio version of our podcast, you can check in with the tech overlords at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and Samsung podcast platforms. I want to thank Elon Musk for purchasing 10% of Twitter.
Hey.
And on that note, good night, everybody.
Oh, you had your one last thing.
Thank you,
I can't have my one last thing.
Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
5 companies have been delisted from the
Lindsay doesn't know what to do.
from the NASDAQ, and at the moment because of audit situations.
Oh God, what? Oh my God!
He got in his last thing.
Oh, it's not playing.
So
All right.
the government doesn't want us to stop. I can keep
Just
on
hit
going.
the fade to black there.
War in
just hit the
Eastern
off air
Europe.